This program is a Creative Magic Network and Maura Sweeney collaboration.
Welcome to Maura for You. Maura Sweeney is an author, blogger, and public speaker who always has an eye out for you and your personal happiness. Conventional and offbeat, vintage and modern, Maura weaves clever anecdotes, insightful questions, and personal stories that challenge your mindsets and enable you to live happier from the inside out. Here's Maura with today's thoughts for you.
Are you creating a party, or are you still living in polarity? Well, if you're on a path to living happy from the inside out, you will so want to pay close attention to today's podcast. Are you creating a party, or are you still living in polarity? Now, all of us know what a party is, but I want you to feel a party right now as I'm speaking. What do you imagine? Well, when you think of a party, immediately you feel uplifted. Your spirit starts to soar. You think of happiness. You think of joy. You think of inclusion. You think of abundance. You think of safety, security, being loved, being in a place where joy just naturally flows, because that's the energy of a party. And everyone collectively within that party is uplifted. It's actually a certain environment when you imagine a party. But let's think, on the other hand, about polarity. Polarity exists when there are two opposing forces. You can describe it in so many different ways. You could think of it as black versus whites. You could think of it as the haves versus the have-nots, the included versus the excluded, the rich versus the poor, the men versus the women. It goes on and on and on. The interesting thing about polarity is that when we live in that place, the black and white world, the two opposing forces, our inside person feels always ill at ease and never at rest, because it goes back and forth between two things that can never agree and never will agree. That's polarity. Now, what does this have to do with you and your happiness from the inside out? I was reminded of two experiences recently, and I think I'll bring both of them to mind today. Probably 20 years ago, if that, I remember sitting down over coffee, having a discussion with a friend. Now, this friend, if you were to look at her, had everything. Very attractive, very well educated, successful career, wonderful husband, also successful, living in a beautiful home. Yet this woman was so ill at ease because she was always living in polarity. Because of her upbringing and because of her mindset, no matter how much she had, she always was mindful of the other. Who else looked prettier than she did? Who else drove a better car? Who else had a bigger diamond or more diamonds? Who else had more cash in the bank? Who else lived in the better neighborhood? Everything she had, everything she had accomplished was always diminished because her mind was set on polarity. She always saw herself as part of the have-nots, and as a result, she could never enjoy life. She could never truly enjoy the party because her mind was set on everyone else out there that had more than she had. And I remember telling her in so many words, I said, I'll use a different name for her. I'm going to call her Candy, although she was not in a sweet mode that day. She was really troubled. I said, you know what? If you were to ever, for just one moment, be in a place where you could experience a place of the all, where everyone is included, where everyone is welcomed, where everyone's gifts and talents are appreciated. I said you would never want to go back to that place to making negative comparisons, to having to find fault with other people, because really you never see yourself as part of the included group. Well, whether or not the woman ever managed to get to the party is debatable, but I want to give you some feelings of what it's like to live in the party, and I'll give you another piece of it. And it happened just last week. I was at a very simple class, and it was a class where I learned various dance moves in anticipation of being part of a flash mob group. And for those who don't know what flash mobs are, they are groups that will learn dances, and sometimes they will learn various musical pieces. It works in many ways. And then they'll go out to a public place and they'll perform supposedly on the spot for people who are not even aware that a party is going to start. At this gathering, the group of people started as young as age 14 and as old as age 72. The teacher was probably 30 years old, and all we did was practice dance moves. And as we're in the middle of this gathering, I started smiling to myself. I said, look at this. Everyone here is having so much fun. They are unaware of the differences in age. No one here is clamoring for attention or a position of superiority, including even the instructor. And everyone laughed so much. Not only were they gathering together with the intention of creating a spontaneous party at future public gatherings, but they were experiencing the party in the moment, as was I. And I thought, you know what? What a shame that other people don't know what this feels like. When you are in the middle of a party, you are literally suspended in time, in space, in place. And what happens within the party atmosphere is that every idea about polarity goes away. There is no more feeling of unease or threat or exclusion or a need to compete or dominate. Now, how does that relate to you today? I want you to know this. You are a person that has enormous influence over your own life, but also in the greater world around you. Where you live internally will help determine the manner of your experience, not only that you have in the world, but also that you manage to create in the world. When you're on your own today, start giving yourself a few minutes and asking yourself if you live in a place of polarity, or if you are a person who creates parties wherever you go, where you look to include people, where you lift others up into a place that excels, exceeds, and stands above the places of polarity that normally tug on people's feelings of inferiority and insecurity, including places in your own life where you might feel a little bit insecure. You have the power to choose and to become the essence of party wherever you are. And when you do, not only will you fuel that happiness within you, but you will help convey and share that happiness with the rest of the world. So that's been my thought for you today. But before we go, let's tune in to listen to what makes someone else happy from the inside out too. This has been Maura with Maura for You.
Hi, this is Anthony Witt from the Champion Entrepreneur. You know, I grew up in a little sleepy suburb west of Chicago. I grew up with 6 brothers and sisters, and so I grew up in a big family. Now I'm married with a wife of my own. We have 5 wonderful children, and we live a little bit farther west in a small little community called Kewanee. I live on an active cattle ranch, and we have a lot of fun with the kids and the grandparents. What I do for a living is I develop mastermind groups, and I do accountability coaching for individuals who are trying to take it to the next level. What makes me happy is when I see individuals not allowing the circumstances and the life experiences that they have guide who they are and hold them back. When they break through and they live the mission and the passion that they have, and they don't let things like corporate worlds and other activities stop them. This is what makes me happy.
For more about Maura, visit her at mauraforyou.com, where you can find videos, blogs, and her book series, The Art of Happiness. Visit mauraforyou.com, where Maura is always for you.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. How did you like it? How did you like it? I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody out there. If you have a passion, something that fuels your curiosity, well, on top of getting fascinating interviews straight to your inbox, when you subscribe to our FREE free Creative Magic community, you will get super cool exclusive gifts in return, such as the ebook Happiness Quotes by the Ambassador of Happiness herself, Maura Sweeney, one of our hosts. And also, this small book is an anthology of 25 inspirational quotes about living a happy life from the inside out. It is cataloged by Maura Sweeney herself and further enhanced by her reflections. She offers information, anecdotal stories, and more to help underscore each contributor's quote. And she also provides suggestions to help you incorporate these maxims into part of your mental landscape. So you can subscribe for free FREE at frederickbye.com. That's Frederick with a C, bye like bye-bye.com.